Something great.
Doesn't take a day off, and neither do I.
My dad said you can't play Warball because you're too small.
Everyone says that, but when I'm on the thorns, who? Ever since I was little,
Let's go!
I wanted to play professional warball. Where the biggest animals compete in the most dangerous stadium.
I'm gonna be just like Jen.
After all those years, I never lost the game. There's only one problem. My bets? I was small. Please. Life hasn't been easy, but I keep it moving.
I'm weak. And it makes me savage. Oops.
So let's start to explain, from underdog to unstoppable, the rise of a small dreamer. What if the smallest player in the arena was the one destined to redefine the game? What if greatness wasn't born from size, speed, or dominance, but from doubt, rejection, and relentless belief? In a world where the strongest animals rule the court, one small goat dared to enter a sport built to crush him. This is not just a sports story. This is a rebellion against destiny. Welcome to the story of GOAT. Chapter 1. A world built for giants. The sport is called Roarball. High intensity. Full contact. No mercy. In this universe, Roarball isn't just a game, it's culture. It's hierarchy. It's power. The fastest predators. The most muscular beasts, the fiercest competitors. They dominate, and in that world, goats don't belong. The arena is massive. The lights are blinding. The crowd roars like thunder. And standing at the edge of that arena is a small goat with oversized dreams. Not built for violence. Not built for impact. Not built for this game. But built for something else. Belief. Chapter 2. The social hierarchy of Roarball. Roarball represents more than sport. It represents societal ranking. Predators at the top. Farm animals at the bottom. The league is controlled by powerhouses. Contracts go to lions, tigers, bears. Speed equals status. Size equals respect. And yet, our protagonist sees something others don't. He sees opportunity, not to dominate, but to prove something deeper. That heart can outplay muscle. Chapter 3. The Dream. Growing up, he wasn't surrounded by glory. He wasn't a prodigy. He wasn't recruited early. He watched from the stands. He studied every move. Every strategy, every play pattern. While others trained physically, he trained mentally. He learned positioning, timing, psychology. He realized something crucial. Roarball isn't only about strength. It's about anticipation. Chapter 4. Entering a hostile world. When he finally gets his chance, it's not glamorous. He's not welcomed. He's mocked. Teammates doubt him. Opponents target him. Commentators laugh at him. The media labels him a publicity stunt. But the greatest revolutions start with ridicule. Every time he's knocked down, he gets up faster. Not because he's stronger, but because he's hungrier. Chapter 5. The Mentor Figure. Every underdog needs a guide. In GOAT, mentorship doesn't come from sympathy. It comes from realism. Talent isn't enough. You'll have to be smarter. He's taught to use angles, use misdirection, use unpredictability. While others rely on brute force, he builds strategy. He turns weakness into camouflage. Chapter 6. The Psychology of Doubt. Doubt becomes his constant companion. Internal voice. Maybe they're right. But here's what makes him different. He doesn't silence doubt. He studies it. He learns from it. He converts insecurity into preparation. Chapter 7. Team Dynamics. At first, the team sees him as liability. But slowly, something changes. He begins creating openings. He draws defenders away. He makes impossible passes. And the team realizes he's not trying to outmuscle the game. He's outthinking it. Trust builds. Respect follows. Chapter 8. The Turning Point Match. Mid-season. Critical game. Injury sidelines a key player. He's forced into center spotlight. The arena quiets. The opponent is massive. The impact is brutal. But something shifts. He stops reacting. He starts predicting. Every move becomes calculated. The crowd stops laughing. They start watching. Chapter 9. Redefining GOAT. The title GOAT has double meaning. Literally, a goat. Figuratively, greatest of all time. The irony fuels the narrative. At first it's a joke. By the end, it's prophecy. Chapter 10. Climax. The Final Showdown. Championship Game. Lights brighter than ever. Doubts louder than ever. The opponent embodies everything Roarball stands for: size, intimidation, legacy. The GOAT embodies something else: evolution. The final sequence isn't about domination. It's about intelligence meeting opportunity. A split-second decision. A daring move. A game-winning play. Silence. Then eruption. History rewritten. Chapter 11. Thematic Analysis. GOAT isn't about sports. It's about systems. It questions who defines worth. It challenges biological determinism. It explores identity, self-belief, strategic intelligence, social hierarchy, the redefinition of greatness. Chapter 12. Why this story matters. In real life, many feel undersized in their arenas. Not strong enough. Not rich enough. Not connected enough. GOAT speaks to them. It whispers. You don't need to fit the mold. You can break it. The smallest player in the arena didn't just win a championship. He changed the definition of greatness. Because sometimes the GOAT isn't the biggest. It's the bravest. Now we explained the business of beasts, power, politics, and the making of a legend. Before the crowd cheers, before the championship banner rises, before the underdog becomes a legend, there is money, there is power, there is control. Because in the world of GOAT, Roarball isn't just a sport. It's an empire. And empires don't like being challenged. Especially not by a goat. Chapter 1. Roarball, a billion-dollar machine. Roarball markets itself as pure competition. Strength versus strength. Speed versus speed. Predator versus predator. But behind the stadium lights lies a corporate structure built like a fortress. Team ownership groups. Broadcast deals. Merchandising monopolies. Sponsorship contracts tied to specific star athletes. The league thrives on predict. Fans expect lions to dominate. They expect tigers to intimidate. They expect bears to crush opponents. It's profitable. It's safe. It's structured. And then a goat shows up. Chapter 2. The problem with an outsider. At first, the executives see him as novelty. A marketing gimmick. Cute story, they say. Farm animal joins pro league. Merch sales spike briefly. Kids buy jerseys ironically. But something unexpected happens. He performs. Not spectacularly at first, but effectively. Smart passes. Tactical movement. Unexpected plays. And executives begin to worry. Because if a goat can compete, what does that say about the mythology they've been selling? Chapter 3. The myth of predator superiority. Roarball's brand is built on dominance. The strongest survive. The fiercest rule. But the goat represents a dangerous narrative. What if greatness isn't biological? What if intelligence can dismantle physical hierarchy? If that message spreads, the entire marketing structure collapses. Sponsors who built campaigns around raw power would need new slogans. Commentators who glorified brute force would sound outdated. The goat becomes a threat, not to players, but to ideology. Chapter 4. Media manipulation. Notice how the coverage changes. Early headlines. Farm animal gets lucky break. Roarball's cutest underdog. They frame him as comic relief. Even when he performs well, commentators say, impressive for a goat. Subtle language. Strategic framing. Because controlling narrative means controlling perception. But as his impact grows, the tone shifts again. Suddenly, is Roarball getting soft? Are traditional standards being lowered? The league begins planting doubt, not about his effort, but about the system itself. Chapter 5. Locker room politics. Inside the team, dynamics grow complicated. Star predators worry about their brand value. If the GOAT outperforms them, endorsements shift. Spotlight shifts. Power shifts. Some teammates feel inspired. Others feel threatened. And that tension becomes fuel for conflict. Because professional sports aren't just about teamwork. They're about hierarchy within hierarchy. Chapter 6. Corporate fear. The executives conduct internal meetings. Ratings analysis. Demographic shifts. Social media metrics. They discover something shocking. Young fans identify more with the GOAT than with traditional powerhouses. Why? Because he represents access, hope, possibility, and hope can't be monopolized. Chapter 7. Attempts to control the story. The league doesn't attack him directly. They do something smarter. They adjust officiating. Stricter foul calls when he drives the ball. Leniency when predators push him. Subtle imbalance. Enough to slow him down. Not enough to cause scandal. But the GOAT adapts. He studies referee tendencies. He avoids risky zones. He becomes even more strategic. Oppression makes him sharper. Chapter 8. Sponsorship Shift. Brands begin noticing his authenticity. He doesn't trash talk. He doesn't posture. He doesn't intimidate. He competes. That humility becomes marketable. A new wave of advertising emerges. Smart is strong. Brains over brawn. The old guard feels the pressure. Chapter 9. Fan Revolution. Crowds begin chanting his name, not as a joke, as belief. Children wear goat horns in the stands. Memes circulate online redefining GOAT. Not greatest of all time yet, but getting over all threats. Grassroots momentum grows, and the league realizes they can't suppress a movement without exposing themselves. Chapter 10. The championship as a power struggle. The final game isn't just sport. It's ideological warfare. Predator legacy versus inclusive evolution. If the GOAT wins, Roarball changes forever. Recruitment policies expand. Talent scouting diversifies. Biological stereotypes weaken. The championship becomes symbolic reform. Chapter 11. The game within the game. Throughout the match, subtle politics unfold. Commentators hesitate to praise him. Executives watch silently from luxury boxes. Sponsors monitor social media engagement in real time. Every play carries financial implications. Every assist challenges a decade of branding. And when he makes the defining move, it's not just a score. It's disruption. Chapter 12. The moment of silence. After the winning play, the stadium goes quiet, because history has just shifted. For the first time, the face of Roarball isn't a predator. It's a GOAT. And in that silence, executives understand. The empire hasn't fallen. It has evolved. Chapter 13. Aftermath. Post-victory press conference. Reporters try to bait controversy. He refuses. He credits teammates. He avoids political statements. And that composure wins more respect than any speech could. The league adapts quickly. New marketing campaign launches. Roarball, where anyone can rise. They pivot, because survival in business requires flexibility. Chapter 14. Thematic Analysis. This version of GOAT explores an institutional resistance to change, a media framing and narrative control, a corporate fear of social mobility, a branding versus authenticity, power redistribution. It asks, who controls greatness? Is it performance or perception? Chapter 15. Why this story resonates. Outside animation, the parallels are clear. Industries resist outsiders. Systems protect legacy. Narratives shape opportunity. But every so often, an unexpected challenger forces evolution. Not through rebellion, through excellence. See, the GOAT didn't storm the gates. He didn't protest. He didn't demand change. He simply played the game, better than the system expected. And sometimes, that's enough to rewrite the rules, because in the end, the greatest revolution is undeniable performance. Now it's time to explain inside the mind of a champion, the psychology of becoming GOAT. A quiet mind in a loud arena. The stadium is deafening. Tens of thousands roar. Cameras flash. Opponents snarl. But inside his head, it is silent. Before greatness becomes visible, it is psychological. Before victory becomes physical, it is mental. This is not the story of muscles. This is the story of a mind that refused to shrink. Chapter 1. The Fear Response. Fear is biological. When a small animal faces a predator, the body reacts. An increased heart rate, a heightened cortisol, a muscle tension, a fight or flight activation. Our GOAT protagonist lives inside this response. Every match triggers instinct. Every collision challenges survival wiring. The predators on the court are not just opponents. They are evolutionary threats. So how does someone biologically wired to avoid danger choose to run toward it? The answer lies in cognitive override. Chapter 2. Reframing threat into challenge. Psychology defines two responses to pressure: threat mindset, challenge mindset. Threat mindset says, I might fail. Challenge mindset says, I might grow. Early in the film, he operates from threat. He hesitates. He overthinks. He anticipates impact. But slowly, through repetition and exposure, something changes. The arena stops being a battlefield. It becomes a classroom. Every hit becomes information. Every loss becomes data. Fear transforms into focus. Chapter 3. Imposter Syndrome. Even after making the team, doubt doesn't disappear. It intensifies. Imposter syndrome whispers, you don't belong here. They made a mistake. You're a joke. In high-performance psychology, this is common among pioneers, the first of their kind, the unexpected entrant. The GOAT represents every individual entering a space historically closed to them. His greatest opponent isn't across the court. It's internal narrative. Chapter 4. The Power of Micro-Wins. Instead of chasing dominance, he chases small improvements. One better pass. One smarter pivot. 1 second faster reaction. Micro-wins build neurological reinforcement. Dopamine rewards effort-based progress. Confidence doesn't arrive dramatically. It accumulates quietly. And the audience witnesses something rare. Confidence not born from ego, but from evidence. Chapter 5. Visualization Techniques. Before major games, he rehearses mentally. He imagines defenders charging. He visualizes openings forming. He predicts the rhythm of impact. Sports psychology research confirms the brain activates similar neural pathways during visualization as during real execution. He trains his nervous system for scenarios before they happen. So when chaos unfolds, it feels familiar. Chapter 6. Body language as weapon. Predators dominate through posture. Expanded chest. Direct stare. Aggressive stance. Initially, he shrinks physically. Shoulders tight. Eyes lowered. But over time, he studies behavioral psychology. He learns something subtle. Body language influences self-perception. Standing taller alters hormonal response. Holding eye contact signals resilience. The shift is gradual, but powerful. He stops looking like prey and starts looking like competitor. Chapter 7. The Moment of Breakdown. Mid-season. A brutal loss. He blames himself. The locker room is silent. For the first time, quitting feels logical. This moment is critical, because growth rarely happens during victory. It happens during collapse. Instead of denying failure, he analyzes it. He studies footage. He confronts mistakes. He reframes shame into strategy. That psychological resilience becomes foundation. Chapter 8. Social pressure. Crowd perception shifts dramatically. Early cheers are ironic. Later cheers are hopeful. Eventually, expectations become heavy. Expectation is a new type of pressure. Now failure doesn't just disappoint him. It disappoints believers. Managing external validation becomes essential. He detaches performance from applause. Focus narrows. Process over praise. Chapter 9. Identity transformation. At the beginning, he wants to prove he belongs. Later, he wants to prove he can compete. Finally, something shifts again. He no longer plays to prove anything. He plays because he loves the game. This is mastery stage psychology. When ego dissolves, performance peaks. He stops chasing acceptance. He becomes authentic. And authenticity unlocks fluidity. Chapter 10. Flow state. In the championship game, something extraordinary happens. Time slows. Noise fades. Movement becomes instinctual. Psychologists call this flow state. Complete immersion. Effortless action. No self-doubt interference. He's not thinking about size anymore. Not thinking about narrative. Not thinking about history. He is simply present. And presence creates precision. Chapter 11. Redefining GOAT internally. Externally, GOAT may mean greatest of all time. Internally, it means something different. Growth over all threats. He conquered fear. He conquered doubt. He conquered expectation. Victory becomes symbolic, not ultimate. The real triumph occurred before the final whistle. It occurred when his mind aligned with his ambition. Chapter 12. Lessons from the mindset. This psychological documentary lens reveals: a confidence is constructed. A fear can be retrained. A doubt is not disqualifying. A belonging begins internally. Performance peaks when identity stabilizes. The GOAT didn't eliminate fear. He reprogrammed it. Chapter 13. Why this story matters beyond sports. Modern performance culture pressures individuals constantly. Social comparison. Visibility metrics. Expectation overload. GOAT becomes metaphor for navigating psychological warfare in public spaces. It teaches: you don't silence inner critic by shouting louder. You silence it by building evidence. Chapter 14. Final moment analysis. When he makes the championship-winning play, the most important detail isn't physical execution. It's composure, calm breathing, balanced posture, clear vision. Years of mental conditioning condensed into seconds. The body followed where the mind had already gone. The world saw a small goat defeat giants. But what they didn't see was the invisible battle fought long before tip-off. Because greatness is rarely born in spotlight. It is forged quietly, in moments of doubt, in private rehearsals, in silent resilience. And sometimes, the greatest of all time is simply the one who mastered their own mind. Now we explain rough the eyes of the rival, the fall of a titan. Movie camera champions silence. He was supposed to be immortal. Three-time Roarball MVP. Face of the league. The embodiment of power. For years, stadiums chanted his name. He didn't chase greatness. He defined it. And then, a GOAT arrived. This is not the story of the underdog. This is the story of what happens when the king feels the ground shift beneath his throne. Chapter 1. Built to rule. The rival, a towering predator athlete, was engineered for dominance. From youth leagues, scouts tracked him. Broad shoulders, explosive speed, predatory instinct. Coaches called him inevitable. He didn't question belonging. Belonging was assumed. Roarball rewarded his biology, and biology rewarded Roarball. It was a perfect ecosystem, until disruption entered quietly. Chapter 2. First glimpse of the GOAT. He remembers the first time he saw him. Small frame, alert eyes, unimposing stance. He laughed. Not cruelly, dismissively. This league eats animals like that. But something about the GOAT lingered. Not confidence, not arrogance, stillness. And stillness unsettles predators. Chapter 3. Cracks in certainty. During their first matchup, the rival expected easy domination. Physical superiority should dictate outcome. But something unusual occurred. The GOAT didn't meet force with force. He sidestepped, redirected, anticipated. The rival scored, but not comfortably. For the first time in years, he felt studied. Chapter 4. Ego under threat. Elite athletes construct identity around superiority. Remove superiority. Identity destabilizes. The rival begins watching film obsessively. Not of himself, of the GOAT. Why does he move like that? Why does he hesitate there? Why does he always seem one step ahead? Curiosity turns into concern. Concern turns into irritation, because irritation signals insecurity. Chapter 5. Media comparisons. The headlines begin shifting. Is a new era coming? Brains versus brawn. Talk shows debate stylistic evolution. The rival hears it everywhere. In locker rooms, in interviews, in crowd whispers. He is still dominant, but now dominance is questioned. Comparison becomes psychological warfare. Chapter 6. Legacy anxiety. Champions fear one thing more than defeat: irrelevance. For years, children mimicked his moves. Now, playgrounds imitate GOAT pivots. Endorsement campaigns adjust tone. Sponsors ask subtle questions. How do you plan to evolve? Evolve? He was perfection. Now evolution suggests deficiency. Chapter 7. Internal conflict. Privately, he confronts something painful. The GOAT isn't cheating, isn't lucky, isn't fraudulent. He's intelligent, adaptable, disciplined. The rival realizes this isn't a fluke. It's transformation of the sport, and transformation threatens tradition. Chapter 8. The training shift. Determined not to fall behind, the rival adapts. He studies strategy deeper, improves court vision, enhances agility. Ironically, the GOAT makes him better. Competition elevates evolution, but the pressure intensifies. Because now, losing wouldn't just mean defeat. It would symbolize replacement. Chapter 9. The championship build-up. Final showdown. Narrative is clear. Old guard versus new mindset. Predator versus underdog. Legacy versus disruption. The rival feels something unfamiliar before tip-off. Not fear. Awareness. He knows this game will redefine history. Chapter 10. During the game, early dominance belongs to the rival. Power plays. Thunderous scores. Crowd electrified. But the GOAT doesn't panic. He adapts mid-game. Alters tempo. Changes rhythm. The rival senses momentum shifting. And for the first time, he feels chased. Chapter 11. The moment of realization. Final minutes. Score tight. The GOAT executes a brilliant assist sequence. Arena explodes. In that instant, the rival understands. This isn't about size. It's about foresight. He locks eyes with the GOAT. Not with anger. With recognition. A passing of something intangible. Chapter 12. After the final buzzer. If the GOAT wins, the rival stands still. Crowd celebrating around him. Reporters rushing past him. Legacy doesn't vanish in defeat, but it transforms. He approaches the GOAT. Extends a hand. Not as surrender. As acknowledgement. Greatness recognizes greatness. Chapter 13. The true loss. Did he lose the championship? Perhaps. But what he truly lost was monopoly on greatness. And monopoly was never sustainable. Roarball evolves. Not by erasing the old, but by integrating the new. Chapter 14. Redefining titanship. In reflection, the rival's journey becomes profound. He began as unquestioned king. He became threatened monarch. He ended as seasoned legend witnessing evolution. The GOAT didn't destroy him. He refined him. Because true titans aren't those who avoid challengers. They are those who survive them with dignity. Chapter 15. Why this perspective matters. Most underdog stories focus on ascent. Few examine displacement. Change always benefits someone, but it unsettles someone else. Through the rival's eyes, GOAT becomes a meditation on our aging dominance, competitive identity, the pain of transition, the humility of coexistence. History remembers champions, but it rarely remembers how they felt when history shifted. In the end, the GOAT rose, the Titan adjusted, and Roarball entered a new era, because sometimes the fall of a legend is not collapse, it is transformation. Before the arena, the untold origins of a dream. Movie camera long before the lights, before the roaring stadium, before the headlines, before the chants of GOAT. There was a quiet hillside, soft grass, wooden fences, a sky that stretched without pressure. Greatness does not begin in arenas. It begins in unnoticed places. This is the story of who he was. Before anyone believed he could be anything. 1. A different kind of child. He was smaller than the others. Not fragile, but observant. While other young goats raced for speed, he watched. He studied wind patterns across grass, how older goats avoided obstacles, how shepherd dogs anticipated direction. He asked questions no one else asked. What if I moved before they expected? Curiosity was his first advantage. 2. Family expectations. In his world, goats had predictable futures. Stay within pasture. Avoid predators. Survive quietly. Dreams were practical. Safety was success. His family didn't discourage ambition. They simply didn't imagine alternatives. When he first mentioned Roarball, silence followed. Not anger, concern. Because Roarball was predator territory. Chapter 3. First encounter with the game. The first time he saw Roarball, it wasn't live. It was through an old broadcast screen. Predators colliding. Crowds screaming. Intensity overwhelming. He didn't see danger. He saw patterns. Angles of defense. Timing gaps. Moments of hesitation between impact. Where others saw violence, he saw geometry. 4. Playing alone. Without formal training facilities, he improvised. Stones became defenders. Trees became teammates. Shadows became opponents. He practiced pivots between fence posts. Simulated passes using rolling fruit. Every movement was self-taught. Isolation built creativity. Because without structured coaching, he invented style. 5. The first doubt. As he grew older, reality pressed harder. Peers mocked the idea. Roarball eats animals like us. Teachers advised practicality. Even supportive family members suggested caution. The doubt wasn't loud. It was steady. And steady doubt can erode even strong belief. 6. A defining moment. One afternoon, a stray Roarball rolled into the pasture. A predator youth team had practiced nearby. The ball was scuffed, worn, imperfect. He approached it carefully, touched it, felt weight and texture. In that moment, the dream became tangible. Not abstract. Not fantasy. Real. He didn't say anything. He simply began practicing harder. 7. Building quiet resilience. Resilience rarely announces itself. It forms slowly. Early mornings before sunrise. Late evenings after chores. Repetition without applause. He learned self-motivation. No coach cheering. No crowd validating. Only internal voice saying, again. That voice would later define him. 8. Leaving home. The decision to pursue Roarball meant leaving safety. The pasture represented comfort. The city represented uncertainty. Saying goodbye wasn't dramatic. It was heavy. Family eyes filled with mixed pride and fear. He carried no guarantees. Only preparation. Culture shock. The Roarball Academy overwhelmed him. Predators training intensely. Advanced facilities. Professional coaching. He felt smaller than ever. Not just physically. Experientially. Others had years of structured development. He had improvisation. But improvisation becomes innovation when refined. The first failure. In his first competitive tryout, he struggled. Overpowered. Outpaced. Overwhelmed. Walking off the court, he faced a choice: return home quietly, or adapt. He chose adaptation. Failure didn't invalidate dream. It informed it. 11. Discovering his style. Instead of mimicking predators, he refined difference. Lower center of gravity, sharper directional shifts, unpredictable rhythm. He stopped trying to fit mold. He leaned into uniqueness. That decision separated him permanently. 12. Emotional maturity. Throughout the film, what distinguishes him isn't bravado. It's emotional steadiness. He doesn't seek revenge for mockery. He doesn't respond to insults publicly. That emotional regulation was built long before fame. In quiet fields, in patient repetition, in solitude. 13. Family watching from afar. During his rise, cutaway scenes show his family watching broadcasts. Nervous, proud, overwhelmed. They don't fully understand Rohrball's strategy, but they understand courage, and courage translates universally. 14. The championship flashback. During the final game, brief visual echoes of pasture life appear. Fence posts, rolling fruit, open skies. The contrast is powerful, because the arena isn't separate from origin. It is built upon it. Every pivot in the stadium traces back to a hillside drill. 15. Why origins matter. Greatness often appears sudden, but it is layered. Environment shapes perspective. Perspective shapes strategy. Strategy shapes opportunity. GOAT becomes less about underdog surprise and more about long-term cultivation. C16. Redefining home. After achieving success, he returns briefly to the pasture. Not as celebrity, as son, as learner. The hills haven't changed, but he has. And yet, the core remains intact. Curiosity, discipline, humility. Before the roaring crowds, there was quiet grass. Before the championship trophy, there was a scuffed ball in a field. Before the title GOAT meant greatness, it meant simply being himself. Because legends are not born in spotlight. They are shaped in unseen places. And sometimes, the strongest foundation is built far away from the arena. Now we explain the science of the impossible, breaking down the mechanics of GOAT. Slow motion truth. Slow the footage down, frame by frame, millisecond by millisecond. because greatness often hides in fractions of a second. What looks like instinct is physics. What feels like magic is mechanics. Tonight, we are not telling a fairy tale. We are running an analysis. How did the smallest athlete on the court re-engineer a sport designed against him? The biomechanical disadvantage. On paper, the GOAT should fail. Height differential. Significant. Muscle mass. Lower. Reach radius. Limited. Impact tolerance. Biologically constrained. Rollerball favors long-limbed, heavy-framed predators. Physics supports them. Force equals mass times acceleration. More mass equals more impact. So how does a smaller athlete survive repeated collisions? He doesn't absorb force. He redirects it. Center of gravity advantage. Biomechanics reveal something critical. Shorter frame equals lower center of gravity. Lower center of gravity increases balance stability. Predators dominate vertical space. He dominates horizontal space. When defenders lunge high, he pivots low. Instead of jumping contests, he cuts beneath them. The same physical trait seen as weakness becomes structural advantage. Angular momentum control. Watch his spin move in slow motion. Unlike larger players who require wide rotational arcs, his rotational radius is compact. Smaller radius equals faster angular velocity. This allows rapid directional changes. Predators commit to momentum-heavy drives. He commits to micro-adjustments. Momentum versus agility. Agility wins in confined space. Energy system management. Rollerball games demand anaerobic bursts. Large athletes burn energy rapidly. Muscle mass consumes oxygen aggressively. The GOAT's lighter frame requires less metabolic output per sprint. He conserves. He accelerates strategically. By fourth quarter, while others fatigue, he remains reactive. Endurance becomes silent weapon. Visual processing speed. Cognitive science suggests elite athletes process visual cues faster than average performers. He trains peripheral awareness constantly. Rather than fixating on ball position, he reads hip alignment of defenders. Hip angle predicts direction before full movement. By reacting to pre-movement signals, he reduces reaction delay. It appears predictive. It is neurological anticipation. Impact absorption strategy. Instead of meeting contact head-on, he collapses inward at moment of collision. Absorbing impact diagonally reduces direct force transfer. Predators brace rigidly. He flexes dynamically. Flexibility over rigidity. This minimizes injury probability. Data-driven learning. Throughout the season, he studies game footage obsessively. Shot charts. Turnover patterns. Defensive tendencies. He maps high-risk zones. Identifies fatigue windows in opponents. He doesn't improvise randomly. He executes calculated risks. Analytics shape instinct. Spatial geometry mastery. Rollerball court dimensions create predictable spacing structures. Most players attack in straight-line vectors. He exploits diagonal corridors. Diagonal movement increases defensive hesitation because it disrupts standard angles. Defenders trained for linear drives struggle with oblique penetration. Geometry becomes ally. Micropause technique. One of his signature moves involves hesitation dribbles. Brief half-second pause before acceleration. This manipulates opponents' timing cycle. Neurologically, defenders commit based on anticipated rhythm. Break rhythm. Break defense. Pause is psychological glitch. And glitches create openings. The championship play analysis. Final minutes. Score nearly tied. He receives ball near perimeter. Defender closes aggressively. Frame by frame breakdown. 0.2 seconds. He lowers stance. 0.4 seconds. Defender shifts weight left. 0.6 seconds. He pivots opposite direction. 0.8 seconds. Rotational burst begins. 1.1 seconds. Passing lane opens. 1.3 seconds. Assist executed. The play appears spontaneous. It is culmination of mechanical mastery. Adaptive strategy model. Throughout season, his performance curve follows nonlinear growth. Early games, low-risk involvement. Mid-season, controlled experimentation. Late season, high-confidence execution. Adaptive learning model suggests optimal development requires failure feedback cycles. He embraces feedback loops. Instead of repeating errors, he refines variables. Continuous iteration produces elite efficiency. Psychophysiological control. Breathing patterns monitored during high-pressure moments reveal consistency. While opponents spike heart rate, his respiration remains regulated. Controlled breathing stabilizes motor coordination. Motor coordination enhances precision. Precision decides championships. Team synergy effect. His presence changes team movement patterns. Predators begin adjusting spacing to complement his cuts. This creates multi-layered offensive system. Not star-centric dominance. Network-based strategy. Roarball transitions from brute model to distributed intelligence model. Evolution of sport itself. Injury resilience factor. Interestingly, lighter athletes often experience fewer joint stress injuries. Reduced compressive load protects knees and ankles. He leverages this by maintaining consistent availability. Availability equals reliability. Reliability builds trust. Trust builds opportunity. Chapter 15. Redefining athletic optimization. Traditional scouting prioritized size, explosiveness, intimidation. Post-GOAT era introduces new metrics: cognitive speed, spatial intelligence, energy efficiency, adaptability index. The sport recalibrates. Recruitment philosophy evolves. Chapter 16. Science meets symbolism. At surface level, this is animated entertainment. But beneath animation lies applied biomechanics and sports theory. The GOAT's rise isn't fantasy miracle. It's case study in leveraging structural difference. Physics never lied. It simply favored different variables. He optimized overlooked variables. Slow it down one last time. Watch the pivot, the pause, the pass. The physics align. The strategy converges. And the smallest athlete on the court becomes the most efficient system within it. Because greatness is not always heavier. Sometimes it is smarter engineering. And in the world of Roarball, the true GOAT was not built bigger. He was built better. Now we explain Echoes of the Crowd, a season told by the fans. The sound before the story. Before history is written, it is shouted. Before legends are confirmed, they are debated. Listen closely, because the story of this season doesn't begin on the court. It begins in the stands. Chapter 1. Opening Night. Confusion. Fan interview number 1. Season ticket holder, Predator supporter. When I heard a GOAT made the roster, I thought it was halftime entertainment. Fan interview number 2. Teenage spectator. I bought his jersey as a joke. Opening night crowd reaction was mixed. Laughter, curiosity, skepticism. The GOAT steps onto the court. Some cheer ironically. Some boo dismissively. No one expects transformation. Chapter 2. Social media explosion. Within hours, clips circulate. Hashtags trend. Memes flood timelines. Hashtag Tiny Titan. Hashtag Farm to Fame. Hashtag GOAT jokes. Comment threads debate. Is this a publicity stunt? Is the league desperate? Is this the future? Public opinion divides instantly, and division fuels engagement. Chapter 3. The First Spark. Mid-season highlight. He executes an unexpected assist between two dominant defenders. Replay loops on broadcast. Crowd gasps, not laughs. Fan reaction, child in stands. He didn't look scared. That moment shifts tone. He's no longer novelty. He's possibility. Chapter 4. Concession stand conversations. Stadium worker. At first, people only talked about the Predators. Now every break, someone asks, "Did you see that move?" Greatness spreads informally, not through headlines, through whispers in line. The GOAT becomes topic of everyday debate. Chapter 5. Radio call-in shows. Sports radio host. Are we witnessing evolution or anomaly? Callers argue passionately. Older fans defend tradition. Younger fans celebrate disruption. Roarball becomes cultural battleground. Not violent. Ideological. Chapter 6. The shift in chant. Early season chant. GOAT! GOAT! Mocking tone. Late season chant. GOAT! GOAT! Rhythmic unity. Same word. Different meaning. Crowds don't change vocabulary. They change belief. Chapter 7. Merchandise stall evidence. Merchandise vendor. Predator jerseys always sold out, but now the GOAT size sells first. Parents buying jerseys for children. Young fans gravitate toward relatability. The underdog becomes accessible hero. Not intimidating. Inspiring. Chapter 8. Commentator evolution. Early broadcast. Brave effort. Mid-season broadcast. Surprisingly effective. Late-season broadcast. Elite court awareness. Language evolves slowly. Respect rarely arrives instantly, but it arrives. Chapter 9. Fan letters. Voiceover reading children's letters. I'm smaller than my classmates, but I still try. My coach says I'm not strong enough, but I practice every day. The GOAT transcends roarball. He becomes emotional mirror. Fans project their own struggles. Chapter 10. The rival fanbase response. Not everyone embraces him. Some hardcore Predator loyalists resist. Fan interview. This is still a power sport. Don't romanticize it. Conflict intensifies rivalry atmosphere. Ticket sales spike. Energy amplifies. Opposition ironically fuels narrative. Chapter 11. Away game hostility. In hostile arenas, boos rain down. Chants mock his size. But each away performance strengthens neutral fan support. Because resilience under hostility is cinematic. And fans love cinema in real time. Chapter 12. Championship build-up through fan lens. Outside stadium, hours before final game. Face paint stations. Homemade goat horn headbands. Signs reading, "Believe." Brains beat brawn. Write history. Energy feels different. Hope feels contagious. Chapter 13. The final moment. Crowd reaction. When the defining play happens, there is 1 second of silence. Then eruption. Strangers hug. Opposing fans freeze. Some Predator loyalists remove hats respectfully. In that instant, division dissolves. Because greatness unifies shock. Chapter 14. Post-game city celebration. City streets fill with celebration. Not chaotic. Joyful. Street musicians remix chant rhythms. Murals appear overnight. The goat's silhouette becomes symbol of change. Community claims ownership of moment. Chapter 15. What fans really witnessed. They didn't just watch a championship. They witnessed a stereotype challenged, a system expanded, or a narrative rewritten, and perhaps most importantly, they felt included. Chapter 16. Long-term cultural impact. Youth league registrations increase among smaller animals. Academies diversify scouting strategies. Talk shows analyze the goat effect. Crowds no longer laugh at unlikely prospects. Expectation shifts. Not dramatically, gradually, but permanently. Legends are not created alone. They are amplified by voices, echoed by crowds, carried by communities. The goat stepped onto the court as an individual. He left as a collective symbol. Because sometimes, the loudest part of greatness isn't the player, it's the people who choose to believe. It's time to explain. Time doesn't move forward, it collides. The buzzer hasn't sounded yet, but the celebration is already happening. Confetti falls in slow motion before the shot is taken. A child in the crowd lifts a homemade goat horn sign before the goat has touched the ball. A Predator defender slams the floor in frustration before the final play unfolds. Time in this story does not move in a straight line. It loops. It folds. It remembers before it happens. Because greatness is rarely a single moment. It is many moments colliding at once. He is standing at the free throw line. But he is also standing in a quiet pasture years ago. He is pivoting around a defender. But he is also pivoting between wooden fence posts as a child. He is hearing the roar of 50,000 fans. But he is also hearing the whisper of doubt that once told him to stay small. The arena is present. The memory is present. The fear is present. The future is present. All at once. The rival stares at him across the court. In this instant, they are opponents, but in another moment, they are symbols. In another, they are simply athletes responding to gravity and motion. The rival's muscles tense. The goat's breath slows. In a split-second stretch of awareness, something invisible shifts. not momentum, not strategy, belief. And belief bends time. Rewind. A locker room months earlier. The goat sits alone, staring at a stat sheet. Numbers don't flatter him. Turnovers circled in red. Minutes limited. Commentary clips replay in his mind. Promotional signing. Developmental experiment. He folds the paper carefully. Not angrily. Not defeated. Just thoughtfully. Fast forward. Those same commentators now raise their voices in disbelief. Unbelievable vision. Historic composure. The audio overlaps. Past doubt and present praise occupy the same frequency. Time collapses inward. A group of kids imitate his hesitation move on a playground. They trip over each other. They laugh. They try again. Cut to earlier in the season. Adults laughing at the idea of him. The contrast feels sharp. Ridicule and inspiration exist on opposite ends of the same timeline. Yet both are necessary. Because without ridicule, inspiration has no edge. The championship scoreboard flashes numbers that feel heavy. He dribbles. The ball echoes against polished wood. The echo blends with another echo, years ago, when he first bounced a ball alone in a field. That sound was softer, lonelier, but rhythm was the same. Consistency across time, practice across years, repetition across doubt. The final play begins, but it has already begun dozens of times before. In imagination, in rehearsal, in fear, in resilience. Every scenario has been lived internally. Now it simply manifests externally. Somewhere in the crowd, a parent watches nervously. Somewhere else, a critic waits for failure. Somewhere beyond the arena, a younger version of the goat stands uncertain at the edge of a dream. All three realities coexist. And when the decisive movement happens, a pivot, a pass, a shift in defensive alignment, it does not feel spontaneous. It feels remembered, as if the future had sent instructions backward. Silence. That impossible half-second where no one breathes. Where time stretches elastic. The ball travels. The net responds. The scoreboard changes. And in that instant, the entire season reorganizes itself. Losses now look like preparation. Mockery now looks like fuel. Doubt now looks like training. The present redefines the past. But nonlinear storytelling refuses to end at victory. Cut to the rival alone after the game. Not angry, reflective. He replays the sequence. Not to resent it, to understand it. Somewhere in his reflection is acceptance. Time does not erase legacy. It reshapes it. Cut again, to the goat walking through an empty arena hours later. Confetti cleaned. Lights dimmed. Silence returns. Victory feels quieter than expected. Because what he conquered was not just opponents. It was timeline. He outran prediction. He sidestepped expectation. He disrupted inevitability. Jump forward, youth academies years later recruiting differently. Smaller athletes training without apology. Commentators analyzing strategy instead of size. The ripple continues beyond the final whistle. The championship was an event. The impact is ongoing. Jump backward, that stray ball in a field. He reaches out and touches it. Freeze frame. because this is where the future began. Not at tip-off, not at draft night, not at halftime adjustments. Here, in curiosity, in possibility, in a decision no one witnessed. Time resumes. The GOAT walks off the court as cameras flash, but somewhere inside he is still that curious kid. Still measuring angles, still asking quiet questions. Greatness did not replace him. It revealed him. The film ends where it began, before the buzzer, before the roar, before the shot. Because in truth, the decisive moment was never confined to a second. It was scattered across years, across fear, across growth, across persistence. Time did not move forward in this story. It collided, and from that collision, a GOAT was not born. He was assembled. The system was never broken. It was incomplete. Roarball did not hate goats. It simply never imagined them. There is a difference. Exclusion is not always loud. Sometimes it is silent design. For decades, the league recruited according to a template. Height range, muscle density, explosive aggression, predator lineage. It wasn't discrimination in the eyes of the architects. It was efficiency. They optimized for what had always worked. And when a system optimizes repeatedly for one model, it begins to believe that model is destiny. The GOAT did not enter a broken institution. He entered a complete one, complete according to its own logic. Predators dominate because predators are stronger. Strength wins games. Games reward strength. Strength becomes standard. Standard becomes tradition. Tradition becomes identity. Identity becomes unquestioned truth. The system was stable until stability met exception. When the GOAT applied for entry, he wasn't rejected with hostility. He was evaluated, measured, benchmarked, compared. Every metric suggested marginal probability of success, but metrics measure past patterns, not future potential. The decision to admit him wasn't revolutionary. It was procedural, a technical approval. Yet small procedural openings can alter architecture. Once inside, the GOAT did not attack tradition. He complied with it. He trained within established drills, studied established playbooks, followed established hierarchy. He did not demand rule changes. He adapted to existing ones. And that is what unsettled observers, because disruption without rebellion feels unfamiliar. He did not accuse the system. He expanded it. Institutional systems evolve through 3 stages: resistance, accommodation, integration. At first, resistance appeared subtle. Media framing minimized his impact. Scouts described him as situational. Analysts labeled his performance unexpected variance. Variance is statistical language for anomaly. Anomalies are supposed to regress, but he did not regress. Accommodation began quietly. Coaches adjusted rotations to utilize his spatial intelligence. Teammates modified spacing to complement his cuts. Commentators studied his patterns seriously. Accommodation signals recognition. But recognition alone does not alter structure. Integration requires replication, and replication requires belief. When youth academies began scouting differently, that marked transition. Scouts started tracking cognitive metrics, decision-making speed, pattern recognition, adaptability under pressure. The definition of athletic potential widened, not because the old definition was wrong, but because it was incomplete. The GOAT's presence forced recalibration of merit. Merit in Roarball had always equaled physical dominance. Now merit included anticipation, efficiency, composure, strategic foresight. The system had not been unjust. It had been narrow. Narrow systems function well, until confronted by complexity. The rival predators experienced disorientation, not because they lost ability, but because exclusivity dissolved. When access broadens, status feels threatened. This is psychological, not malicious. Hierarchy feels safest when boundaries are clear. The GOAT blurred boundaries. He did not erase predator dominance. He diversified competitive pathways. Notice what did not happen. Rules did not change. Court dimensions remained constant. Game duration unchanged. Equipment identical. He succeeded within parameters that previously excluded him indirectly. That is the most radical outcome of all. He demonstrated that potential existed unrecognized inside fixed frameworks. Public reaction accelerated institutional shift. Fans connected to relatability. Young animals who never saw themselves represented on court began registering in training camps. Representation expands aspiration. Aspiration expands participation. Participation expands talent pool. And expanded talent pool strengthens league long-term. The system benefits from inclusion, but rarely initiates it voluntarily. It responds to proof. He became proof. After the championship, league marketing subtly adjusted language. Campaign slogans shifted from "dominate the arena" to "master the game." Domination implies force. Mastery implies understanding. Language transformation signals philosophical transformation, not abandonment of tradition, evolution of it. Critics argued that romanticizing the GOAT risked undervaluing predator excellence. But this was false framing. Integration does not eliminate archetypes. It multiplies them. Predators still thrive. They simply no longer monopolize imagination. Monopoly of imagination is more powerful than monopoly of talent. And that monopoly dissolved. In classrooms analyzing sports sociology, instructors reference this season as inflection point. Case study in systemic elasticity. A rigid system would have expelled anomaly. A flexible system absorbed it. Elasticity determines survival. Roarball proved elastic. The goat did not conquer the institution. He stress-tested it. It stretched. It adapted. It survived stronger. There is temptation to frame his rise as revolution. But revolutions imply destruction. This was renovation. A wall removed. A window added. Light redirected. The foundation remained. Yet interior space expanded. Years later, new athletes enter league without facing initial disbelief. They owe invisible debt to that first anomaly. Structural pioneers rarely benefit most from change. They endure friction. But friction generates heat. Heat reshapes metal. And reshaped metal constructs new frameworks. The GOAT's legacy is not simply championship statistics. It is institutional memory. Once a system proves capable of expansion, it cannot convincingly shrink again. Expectation of possibility becomes permanent. Gatekeeping requires justification now, not assumption. That is lasting transformation. On the surface, it is animated sport. Underneath, it is commentary on systems everywhere. Education, business, culture. When access pathways widen, excellence diversifies. Diversity does not weaken standards. It refines them. Because competition across varied strengths increases sophistication. Roarball became smarter sport, not softer one. The final image is not trophy lift. It is scouting board months later. New names, new body types, new evaluation criteria. Pencils circling prospects once overlooked. Quiet change, permanent change. The system was never broken. It was functioning precisely as designed. But design can be expanded. And expansion is not admission of failure. It is evidence of growth. The GOAT did not overthrow tradition. He revealed its next chapter. And in doing so, he became more than champion. He became amendment. The night of the final, a real-time reconstruction. The arena doors open. Security scanners beep rhythmically. Vendors stock final trays of drinks. Broadcast trucks hum outside like restless engines. Championship banners hang from the rafters, illuminated in cold white light. On the massive screen above center court, two words rotate slowly. Final night. Backstage, players begin warm-ups. Shoes squeak softly against polished hardwood. The GOAT laces his sneakers tighter than usual. Across the tunnel, the rival Predator captain slams a locker shut. No words exchanged. Just awareness. 7:31 p.m. Crowd at 70% capacity. Chants begin in pockets. Some sections wear Predator face paint. Other sections wave handmade goat horn props. Security radios crackle with minor seating disputes. The atmosphere feels electric, but fragile, like something waiting to ignite. 7:48 p.m. Broadcast countdown, 12 minutes to live. Commentators review stat comparisons. Size mismatch. Experience edge. Tactical wild card. Cameras capture close-ups. The GOAT keeps his gaze low, bouncing lightly on his heels. Breathing steady. Opponents stretch aggressively, muscles coiling. 8 p.m. Tip-off. The ball arcs upward. Collision of bodies. Immediate intensity. First possession goes to the Predators. Powerful drive. Score. Crowd erupts. 8:01 p.m. GOAT receives first pass. Defender closes aggressively. He pivots once. Passes out. No heroics. Just data collection. 8:07 p.m. Predators lead by 6. Their strategy clear. Physical overwhelm. Hard screens. Aggressive traps. The GOAT is bumped repeatedly. He stumbles once. Crowd gasps. He rises quickly. Expression unchanged. 8:14 p.m. Timeout called. Score gap widening. Inside the huddle, coaches speak urgently. The GOAT listens more than he talks. Whiteboard diagrams shift. Spacing adjustments. Tempo changes. 8:19 p.m. Game resumes. Subtle shift noticeable. Instead of attacking center lane, he drifts wide. Forces defenders to stretch formation. A quick give-and-go sequence results in clean mid-range score. Momentum flickers. Crowd tone changes slightly. Less dominance. More tension. 8:27 p.m. End of first quarter. Predators still ahead. But rhythm disrupted. Stat sheet reveals something quiet. Turnovers increasing for dominant team. Pressure shifting internally. 8:35 p.m. Second quarter opens with faster tempo. The GOAT accelerates unexpectedly. Not for scoring. For destabilizing pace. A hesitation dribble freezes primary defender. Quick assist to teammate cutting baseline. Bench leaps up. Energy tilts. 8:42 p.m. Hard collision near paint. He's knocked down hard. Arena falls silent. Medical staff steps forward. He sits briefly. Stands on his own. No dramatic gesture. Just nod. Crowd volume doubles. Resilience becomes spectacle. 8:58 p.m. Halftime. Score nearly even. Locker rooms split by tunnel walls. Predator side louder. Frustrated. GOAT side quieter. Focused. Coaches emphasize endurance. Second half becomes mental chess. 9:16 p.m. Third quarter. Predators open with aggressive scoring run. Their captain asserts dominance. Back-to-back powerful finishes. Crowd divided between awe and anxiety. Score gap widens again. 9:24 p.m. The GOAT slows the game intentionally. Walks ball up court. Signals extended play set. Clock drains carefully. Strategic patience. Each possession treated like oxygen. Defenders grow restless. Restlessness breeds mistakes. 9:33 p.m. Technical foul called against Predator captain after heated exchange. Momentum crack. Free throws converted calmly. Deficit shrinks. Crowd noise blends into low roar. Constant. Heavy. 9:48 p.m. Fourth quarter begins. Score within 4. Fatigue visible in larger players. Hands on knees. Breathing heavier. The GOAT still light on feet. Energy reserve difference becomes visible. 9:54 p.m. Critical turnover forced by tight defensive trap initiated by him. Fast break opportunity. He doesn't finish. He passes. Teammate scores emphatically. Tie game. Arena shakes. 9:57 p.m. 3 minutes left. Every possession magnified. Predator captain hits contested jumper. Lead shifts again. No celebration. Only clenched fists. 9:59 p.m. Final minute approaching. Score tied. Shot clock resets. The GOAT dribbles near perimeter. Defender crouched low. Eyes locked. Silence in arena spreads like wave. 9:59 and 24 seconds p.m. He initiates drive left. Stops abruptly. Defender overcommits. Spin right. 2 defenders collapse. Passing lane flashes open for fraction of second. Ball released mid-air. Teammate catches. Launches. 9:59 and 28 seconds p.m. Ball arcs. Net snaps. Lead secured. Crowd detonates. 9:59 and 45 seconds p.m. Predators attempt last-second possession. Heavy drive. Contested shot. Misses. Rebound secured. Clock ticking. 10 p.m. Buzzer. Confetti cannons fire. Players collide in celebration. Opponents stand still momentarily. Then slowly approach center court. Handshakes exchanged. Respect visible. 10:07 p.m. Trophy presentation begins. Flashbulbs burst. Microphones pushed forward. The GOAT lifts trophy briefly, then hands it to teammates. No extended speech. Just gratitude. 10:22 p.m. Arena gradually empties. Janitors sweep confetti into quiet piles. Spotlights dim. Scoreboard powers down. Court returns to stillness. 10:41 p.m. He walks alone briefly across center logo. Looks up at rafters. No dramatic monologue. No cinematic pose. Just absorption. The night that began with noise ends in silence. This championship was not won in a single play. It was built possession by possession. Minute by minute. Adjustment by adjustment. The final shot will dominate highlight reels. But the story lives in the 58 minutes before it. In endurance. In tempo shifts. In composure under collision. Because sometimes greatness is not mythic. It is methodical. And on this night, method defeated momentum. Precision outlasted power. And a GOAT walked out of the arena. As champion.